The best organizations are values-based, right?
Yeah, but what does that mean? I'll be honest, I'm always confused about that because I go, for me, a company's values are to make money.
Go on.
No, and I mean this, and I'm not like saying it in an attacking way. I go, I'm always thrown when a company says like our values, because I go, these are your values.
Yeah.
But if losing money comes into the equation, you will adapt your values. So then they aren't values to me.
Correct.
That's what I always think of. So I go like, can a company actually have values beyond making money?
So you are highlighting the very problem with modern capitalism, right? The capitalism that we have today is not Adam Smith capitalism. That's not the capitalism we have today. We have a bastardized form of capitalism influenced by an economist from the late 70s named Milton Friedman. The Adam Smith version of capitalism was that the baker selfishly wants to make the best bread so that they can sell more bread than all the other bakers. And the butcher selfishly wants to make the best meat so he can sell more than all the other butchers. And the dairy farmer wants to make the best butter so that he can sell more. And what you get is the best sandwich. What we as the customer get is the best sandwich, right? So the selfish behavior of wanting to be better than their others benefits the customer, right? And in the late 1970s, Milton Friedman wrote an op-ed in the New York Times where he basically proposed a new definition of business. He actually called it the responsibility of business. The responsibility of business was to maximize profit within the bounds of the rules. Forget about ethics.
Maximize profits within the bounds of the rules.
Right?
Okay.
Ethics are a higher standard than the rules. And you see it all the time. You know, companies did some horrifically unethical things. You know, patent to an essential drug, and they raised the price 1,500%.
Right, it's within the rules.
And they all say the same thing. We broke no laws.
Yeah.
Which is true, right? Horrible, but not illegal, right? And so in the late 70s and early 80s, a lot of the ruling classes, the CEO classes, heard this definition and went, yeah, baby, right? And they embraced Friedman's definition of capitalism, or business, the responsibility of business, and they sort of doubled down on it. And it gave rise to some entirely new behaviors and entirely new CEOs.
This is just from this op-ed?
Yeah. I mean, like, it became a popular thing.
Wow, Milton, that's a
Milton
high hit rate. Well done, Milton.
I don't like Milton Friedman, right?
Is Milton Friedman still alive?
No.
Oh, okay. That's why you can say it like that. Otherwise, that would be like a crazy move if you were just like, I hate you, Milton Friedman. And Milton Friedman's like, I hate Simon Sinek. Okay, you hate his... Oh, there we go. Okay.
Can't speak about his character.
Okay.
But I don't like the work he put out there. And so you started to see these new behaviors arise. So, for example, the use of mass layoffs to balance the books on an annualized basis, right?
Yeah.
Did not exist in the United States prior to the 1980s. It didn't exist. Mass layoffs were used for existential reasons. Like, oh my God, the company's going bankrupt. We have to cut 10% of our workforce.
Yes.
Now it's like, we're profitable. We're just not as profitable as we promised. You lose your job, right? That started in the early 1980s, and it started to gain popularity. And then it gave rise to an entirely new type of CEO like Jack Welch, who was the CEO of GE. And he was like the poster child of Miltonian economics, where you started to see the shareholder being prioritized over the customer and the employee. You started to see shorter term time horizons. You started to see an emphasis on price of stock versus is this good for the company's long-term value. You started to see long-term greed being replaced by short-term greed. I don't have an issue with long-term greed, but short-term greed is a problem. And the use of human beings' livelihoods to maximize shareholder value. And this was all because of this Miltonian-influenced Jack Welch poster child that is the standard of how businesses are led today. There's nothing wrong with capitalism. There's a huge problem with this version of capitalism. And you can see what's happening. There's a rise of populist movements across the West and in capitalist societies. I don't care if you're on the left and right, Bernie or Trump, it doesn't matter. And they're complaining about the same thing, which is the very small percentage of the elite are getting richer and everybody else is being left behind. And when you have a huge delta between those who have and those who don't, what you get is revolution. The middle class is drying up and people are not investing in the stock market anymore. The whole stock market exists so that the average working American can share in the wealth of a nation. That's why we have a stock market. That's what Alexander Hamilton imagined, right? But that's not what we have anymore. It's become a game for a few, so they can command more wealth. And just to put a one final sort of cap on it, if you go back to the anthropology of leadership, like if we go back, 50,000 years, whatever you want to do, where we lived in tribes that were never bigger than about 150, 200 people. Human beings evolved into naturally hierarchical animals. we're constantly assessing and judging who's alpha, depending on whatever the standards are for that group, who's alpha. And we treat our alphas differently, right? You know this. As soon as you started getting some fame, you're better looking and all your jokes are funnier, right? If you leave your jacket in another room, somebody goes and gets your jacket for you. If you're junior and you leave a jacket in the other room, you get your own jacket, right? That's just how it works. And so what we did was we assessed our alphas and we stepped back and we allowed our alphas to get first choice of meet and first choice of mate. Except the group is not stupid. We don't give first choice of meet and first choice of mate to our alphas for nothing. There's a deep-seated social contract that when danger threatens the tribe, we expect the person who's actually stronger, actually smarter, actually better fed to confront the danger, to protect the tribe. That's why we give you all the perks. You don't get the perks for free. They come at a cost. And so that's the deep-seated social contract. We have no problem with CEOs making more money than us. Where it broke the contract and why you get the anger is not the disparity. It's when we started to see the people who are in alpha positions, when danger threatened the tribe, the economy took a little shake, whatever it is, that they would sooner sacrifice the people to protect their own interests rather than sacrifice their interests for the short term to protect the people. And that's why we're getting the populist reaction. That's what it is. It's the people saying, you have violated your, right. So we're coming for you with pitchforks.